Hi everyone! It's been a while. I had a very busy semester and haven't really had time to make new videos. But my students and I have been making a lot of progress in several of our research projects, and I will share those with you over the next few weeks. This week I'll give you an update on a study I told you about in the last video, where I told you that we had just put together a new version of ChemTutor that we made so that it can adaptively sequence activities based on individual students' representation skills. So as a reminder, ChemTutor is a web-based tutoring system for chemistry that aims at helping students understand the various visual representations that chemists use to solve problems. Basic activities involve only one visual at a time so that students can build up an initial understanding of how one given visual shows domain relevant concepts. And then we have two types of activities that support students in translating among visuals. Explanation activities support students' ability to explain translations between visuals by mapping visual features of the different visuals to the concepts that they illustrate. And intuition activities support students' intuitions in translating quickly and effortlessly between visuals based on key visual features. And I'll add pointers to the videos describing each of these activities in more detail below. And we know from our earlier research that students seem to benefit from explanation activities and intuition activities at different times during their learning trajectories. So now we built a new version of ChemTutor that uses data from how students interact with these visuals to predict whether they would benefit from explanation activities or intuition activities. And that allows it to adaptively assign students to these activities, the goal being to optimally support their representation skills. And we tested whether the adaptive version of ChemTutor improves students' learning in a recent experiment. So in that experiment, 45 undergraduate students worked with ChemTutor for 10 consecutive weeks. And each week we assigned half of the students to the adaptive version and the other half to a static version of ChemTutor. The static version had students work on the explanation activities first and then on the intuition activities, which is the most effective sequence that we had established for this group of students in our prior research. And each week students took a pre-test and a post-test that assessed their learning of the chemistry concepts ChemTutor covered for that week. And here's what we found. So on the x-axis of this graph you see the weeks, and on the y-axis you see students' post-test scores controlling for their pre-test score. The blue bar is the adaptive version and the yellow bar is the static version. So for all weeks except weeks 2, 5, and 8, we found that students who worked with the adaptive version had significantly higher learning gains than students who worked with the static version. For week 2, we have to look into why we didn't see a difference. It could be because the content in this week was particularly challenging and learning gains were actually altogether lower than in the other weeks. For weeks 5 and 8, we found that only the weaker students benefited from the adaptive version, and the more proficient students didn't. So we will look at whether we can improve the algorithm that adaptively assigns students to the different activities to better take their prior knowledge into account. But yes, altogether, this study is the first that we know of to show that adapting support for representation skills to students' needs enhances their learning of content knowledge.